Today I am doing the writing rituals tag. I saw Emma Bennett do this and I thought it looked like fun, so here we are. This is a series of, I believe, 10 questions about writing rituals. So if you're interested to find out how I do things as a writer, stay tuned. Hey, hi, hello, my name is Melanie and I write cozy fiction and non-fiction. Side note, it is super hot here today in the UK, highs of 34 in London and the southeast. So I have got my iced coffee. I purloined this from My Melody and Karomi Cafe down in Brighton, where I was on the weekend, and it's very, very cute and perfect for iced coffee. Okay, let's get into the questions. When do you write? Time of day, day of week? For me, I'm a morning person. Yes, I'm one of those annoying morning people that is just up and on it and ready to go as soon as I'm awake. So for me, my writing is always in the morning, usually between 9 and 12. I only work Monday to Friday. I don't do writing or other business things on the weekend. For me personally, the weekend is our time. Myself and my husband, he doesn't work on a weekend because he works a Monday to Friday job, and I certainly don't either. This is also one of the reasons that I decided to self-publish my work, because when I watch a lot of these kind of vlogs by trad authors, trad pub authors, they are there working like 7 days a week because they have deadlines to meet. And, you know, maybe they're happy doing that. That's great for them. I would hate that. I need to be able to work completely at my own pace as and when it suits me. So yeah, Monday to Friday in the mornings, and to be honest, probably not every day at that. Question 2, how do you seclude yourself from the outside world? Well, as you can see, I am very fortunate in that I have my own office, so it is very easy for me to seclude myself. Also, it's just myself and my husband. I don't have kids, so I don't have small people trying to interrupt me. When my husband is in the office, it's just me. It's very easy for me to seclude myself in here. Absolutely no issues with that whatsoever. I love having this space to write now. I didn't always. When my first book came out, Cozy Autumn, this room had been set up as a guest room. But after kind of everything with the pandemic and whatnot, we got to realise that we just didn't need this set up as a guest room all the time, because we just don't really host people. So we decided to transform it into a space for me. It didn't initially start out as an office. It was more of a place for me to kind of have my own books and my own stuff so that I could just, you know, do crafting or reading in my own space. And then it kind of evolved into my office over time. So question 3, how do you review what you wrote the previous day? I don't really do that in any sort of detail. When I'm writing, I just want to get everything out. So although I might briefly read over what I've written, unless there is some sort of absolute clanger or something doesn't make sense, or I've thought about it overnight and I'm like, that makes no sense to the story, I literally just sort of read through it, remind myself where I was, and just continue on. I don't obsess about what I've written before, or else I could potentially fall into the trap of just reviewing that and not adding any new words. So my review is very light at best, just so that I can focus on getting the story written, because I always think I can come back and fix anything at any time. So yeah, unless there is an absolute clanger that needs to be fixed, a very quick read to remind myself where I was, and then on to the next session of writing. Question 4, what song is your go-to when you're feeling uninspired? This is an interesting one. I don't really use music to inspire my writing. I'm a big lover of music. Very much the kind of 90s and noughties is my jam. Anything past about 2008 doesn't really exist to me. My Spotify is entirely 90s and noughties because I'm a millennial. That's just what I listen to. So I do listen to a lot of music, but if I'm stuck with a story and feeling uninspired, my first thought would not be, I'm going to go play a certain song to fix that. It's just, music is just a part of my life, and listening to it, it's not a go-to fix for my writing. So I would say I don't really have a song to fix me or to fix my writing when I'm uninspired. I generally don't really find myself too uninspired. I might have issues where I'm like, I can't quite work through this part of the story, or I'm not really sure if this works, which is more kind of a problem that I need to solve as opposed to feeling uninspired. So yeah, I don't really use songs to inspire my writing. That's just a separate thing for me. What do you always do when you find yourself struggling with writer's block? If I'm struggling with writer's block, which luckily is few and far between, I step back. I do not sit here and obsess over why I can't think about the next act, the next story, the next chapter, whatever I'm struggling with. I do not sit here and ruminate on it, because my life experience has taught me that doesn't work, never works. I will just step away. Sometimes it could be like a day or two before I come back. I am someone, I just have to step outside of the situation and my brain will work through it in the background, like a background process. I can't just sit here and force my way through it. But as I said, it's not really something I suffer from too much. But yeah, stepping away completely, doing something else, even if it's just completely mundane, and my brain will sort it out eventually. What tools do you use when you're writing? So for me, I write typically in Scrivener with a couple of exceptions. I like Scrivener because when I wrote my first book, Cozy Autumn, I just did it in not Apache Office, LibreOffice, which is a kind of free word processing software. I wrote it and I imported it to format it, and it was an absolute mess, absolute headache. Line breaks, page breaks, they were all wrong, and it really stressed me out trying to fix it. So that year I participated in NaNoWriMo, and if you finish NaNoWriMo, or you did when it was running, because it is no longer running, I don't think, but I'm certainly not participating in it, and we all know why. But when you finished it, you got a discount code for Scrivener. So I decided to buy that so that I would always have my manuscript in a format that I could easily export and would just show up properly, so to speak. I also like the idea of it being this kind of digital ring binder, and you have all these sections for like scenes and notes and title pages. I really enjoy that. I wrote the Lunar Quartz Library in Scrivener. I wrote Cozy Creativity in Scrivener. Currently, I'm working on the prequel for the Lunar Quartz Library, which is a short story that I'm writing in Microsoft Word, because I have now got an actual version of Word that doesn't rely on the cloud. It's actually installed on my computer like it used to be back in the day. And I prefer that for short pieces of writing because I know there's not going to be any issues with exporting it. The only thing I dislike about Scrivener is the spell check. Appalling, absolutely appalling. It recognizes so few typos. So I would not recommend relying on it whatsoever for spelling. That is my one gripe with it. But other than that, I like it. I don't feel that you necessarily have to have it. It's just something that I enjoy. Beyond that, I don't really think there's anything specific that I use for writing. I use things for kind of plotting and research, which I tend to use. So we have things like my story Bible, which is just a basic stylogy, and pens and whatnot. But for actually writing the story, just Scrivener or Microsoft Word. So next question. What's one thing you can't live without during a writing session? Coffee. Always coffee. Typically hot, because we don't really get super hot days where the thought of drinking hot coffee just fills you with absolute dread. But on days like today, then yes, it is iced. So coffee is always needed for a writing session. Typically, I also like to have some sort of scent going, whether that's a candle or incense, just to kind of have a little ambiance while I write. I don't really think there is anything else. I'm just very simple when it comes to my writing. I like it to feel cozy, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I need to have a lot of things. So just coffee and some sort of nice scent just to get me set up, and that's probably about it. Second to last question is, how do you fuel yourself during a writing session? I don't. I only write for a few hours, absolutely no more than 3, probably closer to 2 most days. And I just don't feel the need to kind of snack or eat during that time. I've had breakfast, and other than a cup of coffee to keep me going, I just don't really, I'm not a morning snacker at all. If I'm going to snack, it's between lunch and dinner, not between breakfast and lunch. And between lunch and dinner, it's basically just like a protein shake. I'm not really a big snacker. So my answer is nothing. I don't use anything to fuel me other than a single cup of coffee. Final question. How do you know when you're done writing? 2 things. My brain will just shut down and be like, nope, no more words. I can't think anymore. And to the time, I don't really write past lunch, because anything that I do after lunch would just be terrible writing. My kind of ability to function just goes like this into the afternoon. Past 3 p.m, do not ask of me anything that requires any kind of brain power. It's gone. You know, I could sit there and read and maybe think about some things, but anything that require concentrated effort, absolutely not. I couldn't imagine, for example, like 8 o'clock at night, just sitting there and writing. Just blows my mind because I'm such a morning person. I could never sit there of an evening or night and write anything. It would be the worst rubbish you've ever read in your life. So that is all the questions. I'm not going to tag anyone specifically because I don't want to pressure anybody, but if you watched this and you think it was interesting, go ahead and do it for yourself. If you do one, let me know in the comments. I would like to come and check it out. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video, just short and sweet, a little bit of fun for you. And if you did enjoy it, please hit the subscribe button down below. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.